Have you ever noticed how some people just seem to crumble the second things get a little bit too real? Well, that is exactly what we are seeing with Sarah Platt right now. And honestly, can we even blame her? If you have been keeping up with the chaos on the cobbles lately, you know that the atmosphere in Weatherfield is absolutely suffocating. We are right in the middle of this massive whodunit involving Theo Silverton's murder, and while everyone is looking at suspects like Summer or Gary, I think we need to have a serious talk about what is going on with Sarah. She is acting so incredibly shifty that it is making my head spin, and the latest drama at Underworld is basically the smoking gun we have all been waiting for. Think about it for a second. Sarah is usually the one trying to keep everything together, but lately she is just off. Fizz actually goes to Carla and points out that Sarah hasn't been herself at all since that terrifying attack on the night of the wedding. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a friend being concerned, right? But the way Sarah reacts to it is what tells the real story. When Carla suggests that Michael Bailey should step in and help with her workload, Sarah doesn't say, "Thanks for the help." No, she takes major offense. Why do you think that is? Is it just professional pride, or is she terrified that if she steps away for even a second, her guilty conscience will finally catch up with her? The funny thing about the factory is that it's always been a place of secrets, and Carla Connor is the queen of keeping them. So, when Carla sees Sarah making a massive error on a contract, she doesn't just let it slide. Michael tries to cover for Sarah, which, let's be honest, is a total nice guy move, but Sarah just loses her absolute temper. I don't know about you, but to me, that scream is coming from a woman who is drowning in guilt. She is so desperate to appear normal and competent that she is actually making herself look more suspicious than ever. Have you ever tried to act cool when you're hiding something huge? It's impossible, isn't it? You overthink every word and every movement, and that is exactly what Sarah is doing. But let's get into the juicy part of this whole mess. Why was Sarah worse for wear on the night Theo died? The spoilers tell us she arrived home after Carla and Lisa's wedding totally drunk and then got whacked over the head by Jody Ramsey during a break-in. But fans have this wild theory that I am starting to believe 100%. They think Sarah didn't just get drunk at the reception. They think she actually hooked up with Gary Windass that night. Can you imagine? Gary is already the #1 suspect for the murder because his alibi is basically a house of cards. If Sarah was with him, she isn't just a victim. She is his secret alibi. Now, imagine the pressure that puts on a person. You're working at Underworld, trying to process an order, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking about the fact that your ex-husband, who happens to be a former killer, might have just murdered someone else while you were with him. No wonder she messed up that contract. Michael Bailey probably has no idea that by trying to help Sarah, he is actually poking a psychological hornet's nest. Sarah isn't just stressed. She is paralyzed by the fear that if the police find out she was with Gary, her entire life is over. Her reputation, her job, her relationship with her family, it all goes up in flames. Do you think she's protecting Gary because she still loves him, or is she just protecting herself? And then we have Carla. Oh, Carla Barlow. She is in such a tough spot here. She just got married to Lisa. She's supposed to be happy, but instead, she's dealing with a business partner who is falling apart at the seams. When Carla finds Sarah drunk in the Rovers after their argument at the factory, that was the final straw. Carla is a survivor, and she has zero patience for people who can't handle their business. She orders Sarah to take time off and puts Michael in charge. Now, is this Carla being a ruthless boss, or is she actually being a good friend? Some fans think she's being too harsh, but let's look at Carla's history. Remember when she lied to the whole factory about their wages just to keep the place from closing after Stephen Reed stole all that money? Carla knows that one person's drama can sink the whole ship. She isn't just punishing Sarah, she is saving the factory. But here's the thing that really creeps me out. Some fans pointed out that the last time Sarah acted this erratic and strange, she was literally covering up a dead body in her mother's annex. That is a heavy piece of history to carry around, isn't it? If you have already helped hide a body once, your brain probably goes straight back to that fight or flight mode the second a new murder happens on your street. Every time Kit Green or Lisa Connor Swain walks past her, Sarah probably feels like the floor is about to open up and swallow her whole. She is looking for any way out, and getting drunk at the Rovers is her only way to numb the panic. What do you think is going to happen when Michael starts digging into the error Sarah made? Do you think he's going to find something that links her to the night of the murder? Maybe a missing piece of evidence or a suspicious phone call. We know that Kit is already looking through wedding photos and finding crucial details that implicate people like Summer. It is only a matter of time before the camera lens turns towards Sarah. If she was at the wedding and then she was with Gary, there has to be a trail of breadcrumbs. I also want to talk about the emotional side of this. We know Tina O'Brien and Allison King actually get along great in real life and even share a dressing room. They have so much fun on set, but on screen, their characters are clashing in the most painful way. It makes those scenes where Carla is barking orders at a crying Sarah even more intense because you can feel that broken bond. Sarah feels betrayed because she thinks Carla should be her safe space, but Carla is looking at her like she's a liability. How would you feel if your best friend and boss basically told you that you weren't coping and took your keys away? It's degrading, right? It strips away your last bit of dignity when you're already at your lowest point. The pressure isn't just at the factory either. Sarah is also dealing with the fact that her daughter Bethany is being dragged into drama with Will Driscoll. It feels like the entire Platt family is under siege right now. With Theo's death hanging over everyone and the police closing in, the tension is reaching a breaking point. We are seeing characters like Summer trying to literally flee the country because they can't handle the heat. Is Sarah going to be next? Or is she going to double down and try to pin the murder on someone else to save her own skin? Let's be real for a second. Sarah has a secret. Whether she knows who killed Theo, or she was doing something really dodgy before she got knocked out, she is definitely SUS, as the fans say. She never handles guilt well, and this loss of confidence is just a convenient cover for a woman who is terrified of the truth coming out. The way she lusted after Gary in the past and the way she is acting now, it all fits the pattern of a woman who is entangled in something dark. So, here is what I want to know from you guys. Do you think Sarah is actually involved in Theo's death? Or is she just terrified because she was having an affair with the prime suspect? And honestly, is Carla being too heartless by sidelining Sarah during her mental health crisis? Or is she right to protect Underworld at all costs? This is one of those situations where there are no good guys, only people trying to survive the fallout of a monstrous murder. If you are as obsessed with this mystery as I am, you need to stay tuned because things are about to get even crazier. We've got flashbacks coming up, secret journals being read, and a crucial detail that is going to change everything we thought we knew. The cobbles have never felt this dangerous, and the drama at Underworld is just the beginning of the explosion. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the Theo Silverton case. We are going to be breaking down every single spoiler as it drops, and you don't want to be the last to know who has blood on their hands. Also, like this video if you think Gary and Sarah are definitely hiding something together. Drop a comment below with your craziest theories. I want to know if you think Sarah is the real killer or just a victim of bad timing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one for more Weatherfield secrets. Is Sarah Platt finally cracking under the weight of a secret so dark it could dismantle everything Underworld stands for? Or is Carla Barlow simply playing a much more ruthless game of chess than we realized? Was her decision to sideline Sarah a genuine act of mercy? Or was it a calculated move to protect the factory from a woman who might just be a murder suspect? I mean, think about it for a second. If you've been watching the cobbles lately, you know the atmosphere is absolutely suffocating. We are right in the middle of this massive whodunit involving Theo Silverton's murder, and while everyone is looking at suspects like Summer or Gary, I think we need to have a serious talk about what is going on with Sarah. She is acting so incredibly shifty that it is making my head spin, and the latest drama at Underworld is basically the smoking gun we have all been waiting for. The cobbles are currently vibrating with the aftershocks of Theo Silverton's murder, and right at the center of this psychological storm sits Sarah Platt. We've seen her struggling since she was attacked by Jody Ramsey on the very night Theo met his end, but it's becoming increasingly clear that her lack of confidence isn't just about the physical trauma. Sarah is usually the one trying to keep everything together, but lately, she is just off. Fizz actually goes to Carla and points out that Sarah hasn't been herself at all since that terrifying attack on the night of the wedding. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a friend being concerned, right? But the way Sarah reacts to it is what tells the real story. When Carla suggests that Michael Bailey should step in and help with her workload, Sarah doesn't say, "Thanks for the help." No. She takes major offense. Why do you think that is? Is it just professional pride, or is she terrified that if she steps away for even a second, her guilty conscience will finally catch up with her? Sarah is spiraling because her internal narrative of being the victim is clashing with the reality of whatever she is actually hiding. When Carla suggests that Michael should take over some of her workload, Sarah doesn't see it as help. She sees it as an indictment of her worth. This triggered a defensive explosion that, in my opinion, was less about the spreadsheets and more about the fear of being seen as weak or, more dangerously, compromised. The funny thing about the factory is that it's always been a place of secrets, and Carla Connor is the queen of keeping them. So, when Carla sees Sarah making a massive error on a contract, she doesn't just let it slide. Michael tries to cover for Sarah, which, let's be honest, is a total nice guy move, but Sarah just loses her absolute temper. I don't know about you, but to me, that scream is coming from a woman who is drowning in guilt. She is so desperate to appear normal and competent that she is actually making herself look more suspicious than ever. Have you ever tried to act cool when you're hiding something huge? It's impossible, isn't it? You overthink every word and every movement, and that is exactly what Sarah is doing. Why did Carla act so decisively in handing Michael the new contract? It's because Carla, historically, operates with a factory-first mentality. She's seen what happens when the business is on the brink. Remember the Stephen Reed fallout where he stole £250,000? She cannot afford another liability. By putting Michael in charge, she isn't just helping Sarah. She's building a firewall between Sarah's personal chaos and the factory's survival. Internally, Sarah is feeling a profound sense of abandonment. For years, the factory has been her safe haven, her place of professional identity. To have that stripped away by someone she considers a close friend and partner, Carla, is a betrayal that cuts deeper than the physical blow she took from Jody. She's grieving her own competence, and that kind of grief often manifests as the jagged, uncoordinated anger we're seeing. I want to reframe this situation for you. This isn't just a boss-employee dispute. This is a battle of survival between two women who have both survived monsters. Carla survived Stephen. Sarah is currently surviving the ghost of Theo and the threat of Gary Windus's secrets. The drama at the factory is actually a proxy war for who gets to remain sane, in the eyes of the Weatherfield community. I honestly disagree with how Carla handled the pub confrontation. Finding Sarah drunk in the Rovers and then immediately ordering her to take time off is a boss move, but it's a terrible friend move. If Carla really cared about Sarah's mental health, she wouldn't have made it a professional ultimatum. She backed Sarah into a corner where the only escape was further self-destruction. Psychologically, Sarah is exhibiting classic overcompensation for a perceived loss of control. When Michael covers for her error, it bruises her ego because it confirms her greatest fear, that she is no longer essential. She's fighting the image of herself as a broken woman, but by fighting it so hard, she's actually proving it to everyone around her. Now, let's get into the juicy part of this whole mess. Why was Sarah worse for wear on the night Theo died? The sources highlight a massive fan theory. Did Sarah sleep with Gary on the night of Theo's death? If true, this explains everything about her behavior at the factory. She isn't just stressed. She's terrified that her only alibi, an affair with a known killer, is a ticking time bomb. She acts shifty because she's constantly calculating which lie is safer, being a murder suspect or being an adulterer. There is a lingering, toxic attachment between Sarah and Gary that never truly died. On that night, Sarah was worse for wear after the wedding. In that vulnerable state, she likely sought out the familiar danger of Gary. Now, she's feeling the crushing weight of the morning after guilt, compounded by the fact that the man she was with might actually have blood on his hands. Let's look at this through a different lens. Sarah isn't protecting Gary out of love. She's protecting herself from the Sarah of the past. She worked so hard to move on from her darker chapters, and hooking up with Gary pulls her right back into that swamp. Her panic at Underworld is the panic of a woman watching her clean life get stained by her own bad decisions. In my opinion, Gary Windass is the most manipulative person on the street right now. By allowing Sarah to believe he's her only alibi, he's effectively tethering her to his own fate. It's a classic Gary move, creating a "we're in this together" scenario that is actually just a "you're coming down with me" trap. This is a textbook example of trauma bonding mixed with guilt-induced paralysis. Sarah is paralyzed because she can't move forward without exposing her past. Her erratic behavior, getting drunk, lashing out at Carla, is a displacement of the anger she actually feels toward herself for getting entangled with Gary again. She can't yell at herself, so she yells at Michael and Carla. Carla has a history of lying to her staff to save them, as we saw when she lied about the bank tracing Steven's money. She believes the end justifies the means. When she sees Sarah faltering, her first instinct is to manage the problem rather than help the person. She sees Sarah as a broken component in the underworld machine that needs to be replaced before the whole system fails. Carla is likely feeling a deep sense of frustration. She just got married to Lisa. She should be in a happy bubble, and yet she's dragged back into the gutter by Sarah's drama. There's a hidden layer of resentment there. Carla has fought so hard for her own happiness. She doesn't want Sarah's lack of coping skills to ruin the peace she's finally found. We need to reframe Carla as the anti-hero of this arc. While everyone else is focused on the "who killed Theo" mystery, Carla is the only one focused on who keeps the lights on. She's the pragmatic anchor in a sea of emotional wrecks, but that pragmatism is precisely what makes her look ruthless to someone as fragile as Sarah. I think the fans who say Sarah is definitely hiding something are 100% correct. You don't just lose your confidence and end up drunk in the Rovers because of a work error unless there is a massive secret lurking in your subconscious. Sarah's behavior is that of someone who is waiting for the police to knock on their door. Psychologically, she is suffering from identity erosion. She was Sarah the businesswoman, Sarah the mother, Sarah the survivor. But now, she's just Sarah, the woman who was attacked, or potentially Sarah, the woman who knows too much. When Carla takes away her work responsibilities, she's effectively stripping Sarah of the last identity she had left that felt normal. It's a psychological death sentence. But here's the thing that really creeps me out. Some fans pointed out that the last time Sarah acted this erratic and strange, she was literally covering up a dead body in her mother's annex. That is a heavy piece of history to carry around, isn't it? If you have already helped hide a body once, your brain probably goes straight back to that fight or flight mode the second a new murder happens on your street. Every time Kit Green or Lisa Connor Swain walks past her, Sarah probably feels like the floor is about to open up and swallow her whole. Things are about to get significantly worse for Sarah, and the tension is reaching a boiling point that Carla might not be able to simmer down. As Sarah is forced to take time off, she becomes even more isolated. Isolation for a person with a guilty conscience is like pouring petrol on a fire. We're seeing Michael Bailey step up, but his help is actually a knife in the back of Sarah's ego. Every time he successfully manages a contract Sarah failed at, he is inadvertently proving Carla right. This is creating a workplace environment that is toxic not because of bullying, but because of a quiet replacement strategy that Sarah is fully aware of. And then there's the Gary factor. As Kit and the police close in on the crucial detail of the murder, potentially involving wedding photos or journal entries, the pressure on Gary and Sarah to maintain their story will become unbearable. If Gary is the number one suspect and Sarah is his only alibi, she will have to choose between her reputation at Underworld and Gary's freedom.